We're back and honored to have Judge Patricia Koch with us this morning with a 9th Judicial District Court update. And Judge, we're going to kind of focus on the court system a little bit today. And Patricia, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. We're just delighted to be able to participate and kind of inform our public that we are open and ready, been ready doing business for our community.
Yes.
So thanks for having me.
No problem. It's been a difficult time, a different time, obviously, during this pandemic for the courts.
It has, and so in particularly over the last year, our jurors have been kind of limited. And in fact, the Supreme Court put a hold on all jury trials for the months of February and March. But beginning in April, jury trials will start back again, and so kind of want people to know that they should be getting some notices there that we are having jury trials, and we're going to make sure that they're safe. There's plenty of COVID protocols in place. We're keeping the 6 feet of distance, and just want to know that and we have managed to have 2 jury trials in this past year. And been very successful, no outbreak. We didn't have it a super spreader or any of those things. So want the word to go out that jurors and jury trials are going to start again in April, and so we hope that they will come and participate in that.
Okay, yeah, and obviously jury duty is kind of a civic obligation, and let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So there's certain qualifications to be eligible for our jury, and of course you got to be a citizen of the United States, which is a given. And we've had recent citizens who have served with us. It's always a variety, but you also have to live in the parish of Rapides for at least 1 year. And it's not unusual for us to find people who may receive a notice that, oh, guess what, you've now moved, or that we have college students. And so there are some exceptions that are around that. And you also have to be 18 years of age.
Right.
So the list comes from the voting records. We don't usually see anybody under the age of 18. It comes from the voting records. So if you're registered to vote, that's where the list comes from. And so it's pretty much clear that it's a citizen, but sometimes folks move. You also have to be able to read, write, and speak the English language. And so if you have trouble hearing, I will say that, then we're going to make accommodations for you. So if you're able to hear, but you got to be able to read and write the English language, because a lot of times there's a lot of documentation and things like that. If it's something that you're uncomfortable with, we can make some accommodations for that. And you can't be interdicted or incapable of serving due to some mental or physical infirmity. Where we see a lot of folks that if you're worried about you got a bad back and you can't sit for very long, we'll make those accommodations. Or if you're a diabetic and you need to have breaks to check your insulin, we will make those accommodations. So it's more serious type of things that that if you're unable to serve, then certainly let us know about that.
Yeah.
But folks that are in wheelchair bound, come on up. We're disability aware, and certainly we want all, and that's the ideas of a jury. Our individuals who come for civil trials or criminal trials deserve to have a jury of their peers, and so your peers have to look like you. And we do have people that have been injured, let's say a civil case, injured, and they're in a wheelchair. A jury of their peers might be somebody who's out there in a wheelchair or has some limitations in their mobility. And that's on race, religion, sex, age. So we need a jury of their peers, which is very broad. Thinking of that, there are some exceptions that if you're over the age of 70, you can say, guess what, I'm over the age of 70 and I really don't want to serve, but we have many who do not take that exception. So there's not a cutoff. I think people have an expectation that it says, oh, I'm 70, I can't serve. That's not it at all. So we have a lot of seniors who choose to serve and want to serve. So the other thing is about indictments. You can't be currently, of course, under any investigations with our current Rapides Parish. But what we've seen, too, is folks who had an old misdemeanor in their college days. They might have gotten in trouble for smoking some pot or had a DWI. You can still serve. It's only if you've had a felony. And so many folks have now had those expunged and things like that. So it's a broad range. There's more reasons for you to serve than not to serve.
Yeah, and I'm sure people can be a little apprehensive about it. Obviously, it's not like what you see on TV, but people who participate seem to enjoy and then will come back to serve on a jury.
They do. One of the other exceptions is that if you've already served on a jury in the last I think it's 2 years, you can choose not to serve again. But we'll have people who served on one 18 months ago. Oh, no, it was very enjoyable. We do a poll of our jurors after every trial, and we have not found anyone who did not find it informative, enjoyable. What they also realize is it is not CSI. There's no magic cameras that come up at the last minute, and that's on the criminal cases as well as any slip and falls or civil cases. And we just have a broad range of cases that are up here. I think a lot of people have a fear that every trial up here is about murder. No, most of our stuff is some drug things, which wouldn't surprise you, or some car accidents, or medical malpractice. It's a really broad area, and our jurors have really found it. We treat them well. I want to say that, as we know that you're taken away from your time, away from your family and your employers, and so we want to be respectful of that, and we do put you to work where you're here, but we want to make sure that you feel like you're valued, which is, we're not going to have lingering days. We want it to be working days for you, because you are taking away time from your family and your employers, and we appreciate those employers who do allow their employees to come and serve, because you don't get, but I think, $20 for the day. So you're not doing it for the money, you're doing it for a civic obligation, and that you too one day may need a jury for a variety of reasons, and we want to make sure there's a jury of your peers out there.
Yeah, Patricia, you're the presiding judge over 2 specialty courts, right?
Correct. So our courts are changing, like society changed. We're recognizing, like the opioid crisis that's been talked about so much, that so many individuals may get picked up for drugs when really they're an addict, or we see regularly on the news where mental illness has kind of raised its head and has caused people to get arrested. So we have 2 different specialty courts here in our parish. We have the adult drug court, and then we have a behavioral health court, which is where you have some mental illness and you may have some addiction problems. And so it's addressing those concerns with something other than jail. And that's what the design of both of those specialty courts are. And then having huge success. We do graduations 2 or 3 times a year, and making members, productive members of society again, out of some of those folks who many in the past would have thrown away. But we've come a long way in a court system and as a society to recognize addiction and mental illness is treatable and not a reason to incarcerate.
Well, Patricia, thanks for joining me. We'll have to do some more of these court updates with you. I appreciate it. Some good information.
Love to.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark, and y'all take care. Have a blessed day.
You too. You too. Thanks, Patricia. We've got more to come. Dr. David Holcomb with us.